Three, two,
Ako
one,
interview.
go. Hello, welcome to the first episode of our Mangtas podcast. And of course, to start with our first episode, we have as our very first Mangtas podcast guest none other than our CEO and one of our co-founders, Mr. Wouter Delbaere.
Hello, Jackie. Thanks for having
Hi.
me.
Thank you for setting time aside, Walter, for this podcast. I know how busy you are, but we appreciate it very much. So just
Well,
to should we just start?
let's kick it off. Let's see how it goes, right? Our very first one. This may just
Okay,
end up in
well,
the bin someday, or maybe this will become something big. Who knows?
indeed, who knows? So, well, just to start as a first, just tell us a little something about yourself. That's always a good start.
Okay. I'll start. Okay, there's a lot to talk about, I guess.
Well,
Let's maybe I'll start with look, I have a very international career, right? And basically a very international life. And I guess this will be very applicable as we go further into the podcast to give a little bit of background around that. So I was originally born in Congo. Originally I'm Belgian,
whoa.
but born in Central Africa, right? And spent a year there, then spent a couple of years in China, spent some time in Belgium, then spent some time in Yemen, spent time in Rwanda for 4 years, where we had to then escape from the genocide.
I'm sorry
Then
to hear
after a year in Belgium, we had 10 years in the Philippines, where I met you and the other co-founders. Did my master's in Belgium and then immediately started an international career and worked in 6 more countries, more or less. And so that's pretty much my international life. I'm now based in Singapore and I've been here for about 8 years. Um,
Well,
Primarily, I do technology. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, just continue.
Yeah, primarily I do IT, so software development is a big passion of mine, especially software architecture and design. So I did my master's of that in Belgium, and ultimately I looked after software development business for quite some time, grew in that organization from developer all the way to looking after the region for a specific business line here in Asia Pacific. So basically, I have worn a lot of hats from through many types of companies and organizations, and actually, I also touched upon many domains, right? So it's not. I mean, I have
Mm-hmm.
quite some experience in the fintech space, finance, but actually, I've also experience in I don't know, let's say AGV, automated guided vehicles. In there's so
I'm
many
very
different other
technical for
industries
me.
that I've so I did some stuff in that space. I did some stuff in marketplaces. I did some stuff all over across different domains in technology. So I'm also into sports. So I played football in my entire
Okay.
life, but
Okay.
ultimately,
So aside from the geeky stuff, you also have your
yeah, I tried to. I
sports
tried
stuff.
to. Growing up, all I cared about was sports, especially football or soccer.
Mhm.
I moved to another sport called triathlon or Ironman. Been quite passionate about that, and then recently became a father. So I have now a
Wow.
five
Congratulations
month
again.
old daughter, and also got married just about a year ago. So yeah,
Well,
that's my life in a
congratulations.
nutshell.
Now, thank you. Thank you for telling us a bit about yourself
Hmm,
and your background. But how about this business that you're starting? Tell us a little bit about that. Maybe that's something that our listeners would like to hear.
sure, sure. This business is called Mangtas, as you
Mm-hmm.
know, and as you're part of, right? So about 8 years ago or so, as I was still in the corporate world, together with two very close friends of mine, Osmond and Anthony, we basically decided to set up a company. And that was really just to get the legal framework in place in case opportunities come our way. I know Anthony for about 25 years, Osman probably 20 plus as well. I know you 25 years, right? So essentially, out of all the people I know, I chose very specific people to collaborate with and ultimately start a business with. And these are people I know from the Philippines. So I always had this feeling that there would be opportunities coming out of the Philippines because of the talent over there and the quality of English. I always felt there would be opportunities, which eventually became true. So an opportunity came our way about 5 years ago. We started with some consulting out of the Philippines, where we hired locally and deployed them all across Asia Pacific. But we were very reactive. We all had full-time jobs, right? So I was having a full-time job. Osman had one, Anthony had one. So really, opportunities came our way. We jumped on it, and that was about it. So it was never really going to become very big unless we took the next step. But we were
in the beginning. It was like a sideline,
a side hustle,
side
as
hustle.
they say. But very reactive, right? And then. I had a very good job, right? I was very happy with that job. I was doing well in my career, but I kind of lacked a bit of passion. So I had other dreams I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. And I felt the time was right. I was finally ready to make that step. And really, quit my job and just started chasing my dreams, right? And it's been a very long journey. This is about almost a year ago now. It's been a very long journey since. I've gone up and down in many different directions and ultimately stumbled upon the Mangtas idea. Now, we were back then already called Mangtas, by the way, right? But we're now making a big pivot, right? So rather than becoming just an agency which provides consulting services, we now are actually producing a platform. And your question was more around how do we come up with the idea? And I guess it's been a combination of a lot of factors that just happened to align. First of all, I was initially working on another startup idea. And I wanted to build a team.
Wow, you're the serial entrepreneur.
I wouldn't go that far. So I was working on an idea, and I needed some people to build my business on. And I was getting really frustrated with my ability to hire the right talent at a cost-effective manner. I was also very frustrated with my freelancer options, right? I tried all the freelancer platforms. I had some frustrations there, didn't quite work. Very hard to build a business on as a foundation. I also reached out to agencies to help me out and provide me, services to basically help me build my app and my marketing and all that. But again, it was a bit of a hit and miss, hard to compare agencies, hard to find the right people, didn't have the right access. So that was very frustrating. And at the same time, as part of this side hustle, which was Mangtas, Osman and I, so Osman, one of our co-founders, also lives here in Singapore. We basically had a client here that we went to, and we connected them to a firm, an agency in the Philippines. And they were quite happy. It seems like a good match. And then afterwards, we were having a drink, as we do sometimes. And we started, after a couple, we started getting a bit creative, and we started asking ourselves the question, like, hey, can't we scale this up a little bit, right? Because all these things, like we just connected an agency in the Philippines to a startup in Singapore. We have access to a lot of contacts in the Philippines. We have access to a lot of contacts in Singapore. It seems to be a bit of a match that's not been made yet. We also felt like this is literally January, I'm guessing 23, somewhere there. We also felt like
this year.
This year, so literally 3 months ago, and yeah, so that's the rest is history, right? So we were talking about how the influencer world, the freelancer world, has boomed in the last year, especially because of the pandemic, right? How our side hustle has had to evolve a little bit because of the pandemic as well. And we thought, hey, why don't we look at this on the freelancer world and try to innovate a bit here, take everything that doesn't work and maybe apply a teams concept to it. right?
Mm.
Rather than working with individual freelancers, which was a very frustrating experience for me. And I can talk about that a bit more in a sec. Why can't we connect people that need this type of services to agencies directly in the way that the freelancers platforms do that today, right? So
Okay.
essentially provide, it's like having a freelancer, but a lot better,
In teams.
right? Yeah, and also look, we then basically did a bit of research,
Mhm.
and if I remember correctly from that night, it was Osmond who came up with the initial idea. He happens to be in this industry in his past, in his day job, right, which he is
Yeah.
moving away from, and he knows that this is a $1 trillion industry, multi-trillion,
Yeah.
right? So, and there's a lot of agencies scattered across the world that are providing services in a very unstructured manner. And we thought, okay, this is a massive opportunity. So yeah, that's a little bit of
So
a background. This is 3
interesting.
months ago. We basically started the next day. I put my other startup on pause for a second, just to
Mhm.
try this out, and
Mhm.
this was an immediate hit. Within weeks, we had a little platform set up. We had teams signed up. We have projects going, and like the demand was just undeniable. So yeah,
Wow.
it's
The momentum
very
seems to
interesting times.
be the momentum seems to be really, really, really good. And
Yeah.
considering that at the time of a pandemic, when a lot of establishments are going out of business, it's quite interesting that you are actually going into business. the
Yeah, it's a bit of a mindset, I think, right? I mean, you can look at a crisis and say, oh, I need to hold on to something, I need to protect
Mhm.
myself, right? Or you can look at a crisis and say, this is an opportunity, right? Things have to change, things are changing. And I've always been that person. Like even within, even when it
Mhm.
was a minor crisis somewhere, I always thought when things are changing, that's the time when you just need to be very alert, spot opportunities and jump on them. And to be honest, crises happen a couple of times in a lifetime, right?
Mhm.
That's when things move very quickly, and you either jump on it or you don't, right? And I love to take advantage of this, and it's when innovation happens very quickly, right?
Mhm.
It's when change is fast tracked, right? When businesses are forced to make changes, right? So to give an example, like over the last year, the level of digitization or cloud adoption or even work from home, right? All these type of changes over the last year that have happened have just exponentially grown, right? This is not,
Yeah.
if you look 5 years back and compared to where we are today, it's just incomparable. And yeah, I'm thinking the same with Mangtas and this opportunity, right?
Mhm.
It's just ripe. The elements are there for the taking, and it's the company that jumps on it and executes it the best. And at the end of the day, an idea is an idea, right? It will boil down to the execution all the time. And now it's just a good time to execute and be able to make a massive impact, because
Mhm.
as things go back to normal,
Yeah.
businesses will change slower again.
First
So
of all, wow. First of all, let me
I
say
hope
that's quite
that's a
a
loaded answer.
no. It is. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I must say
Mm,
that it's quite a very good entrepreneur mentality to not be held back by a pandemic. I mean, when you have an idea and you believe in it, then just go for it.
and maybe to add to that, and not just the timing of a crisis, but also this idea. I mean, look, I'm not the first one to think of it, for sure not, right?
Hmm.
But neither is Osmond or any of us. But 10 years ago, it would have been impossible or very hard to execute on this idea, right? And that's
Indeed.
something to. I mean, the way that we are all connected now, the way that people have opened up to outsourcing and working with people remotely, and just the technology that's available today to build platforms like this quickly. I mean, we would not have
More
been
and
able
more
to
people are
execute.
working from home too.
Exactly,
Working from
exactly.
home,
So it's
internet
just
is faster.
exactly no, 100%, right? So 10, 20 years ago, people will have thought of it. It's just now is
Hmm.
a very good time to actually execute on it. And one of the beautiful things is we can learn from the freelancer platforms, uh, learn about what they did well and learn what they didn't do well, and then
Hmm.
just take it from there.
So, and do you think it would have made a difference in the business if there was no pandemic, or it doesn't really
Well,
affect the
back,
business in any way?
yeah, so back to my original point, it would have been possible to execute for sure. But will it help turbo boost what we do? 100%, right? So
Mm.
we could have executed this 2 years ago because look at the freelancers. They also grew over the last decade, right? We could have done the same, but I just feel that one, I almost look at the freelancer platforms as version one. I look at
Mm.
what we are doing as version two. It was great to kind of observe that and learn from that and now, take it to the next level. But going back to the pandemic, yeah, well, like I said, making changes happen quickly is easier in a time of a pandemic or a crisis. So it would have been possible, but now it's even more possible, and we can execute faster. Yeah.
Great, great. Seems as if Mangtas is like freelancers, but like a synergy of freelancers. And so you focus on teams. Teams is a main focus
Mm-hmm.
of the Mangtas platform. But is there any room for freelancers in the platform? Like,
Room
what if
for
I'm
the
a
platform.
freelancer that
Mhm.
wants to form a team
Yeah,
of my
sure.
own? Is that possible?
Sure. And I guess there are two sides to the question you asked. The short answer is
Right.
yes, obviously. Freelancers are welcome on the platform, but ultimately they'll have to execute as a team, right? So let me maybe take a step back. I love freelancers. I love the platforms to a certain extent. I love the idea. I go there. Look, it's like shopping. We have options to compare, people that provide services, talk to all these
And you have a
people.
lot of options.
Yes, which is great, right? And it's
Mhm.
reviewed and all that. And there's always going to be space for the freelancers. Now, but there are some problems with it which frustrated me a lot, right? So let me start off by saying there will always be space for freelancers, especially when it comes to very specific tasks, right? Very isolated, specific tasks. Work with a
Mhm.
freelancer, get that back, off you go. Well, where it becomes a
And
little
also
bit more
specific
difficult
budgets, I might
and
add.
specific budgets. Correct, specific budgets. But I guess the problem lies when you need to start collaborating, when they need to be
Mhm.
part of a bigger picture, right? When you want to build a business on something really reliable and people that collaborate with you. And I don't want to overgeneralize, like, you know, I love the freelancer attitude and the spirit, but typically they're not the best team-minded people, right? They're there to basically choose a project, work with a client, quite often with three clients
Mhm.
at the same time, and they're by design not really part of a specific team, right? Hence, the whole concept of a freelancer. Now, if I want to build a team, grow a business, I want a reliable set of people that will deliver services to me on a
Mhm.
continuous basis, and collaborate with me and have that team spirit, right? And really fight for the team. And that's a bit harder to execute with a freelancer, from my experience at least. And I've tried a lot of
Yeah.
different things, right? So that's one problem. So there's the collaboration aspect. There's also the long-term commitment, right? If I'm going to invest in getting somebody up to date, up to speed with what I want to do and how they can contribute and all
Mhm.
that, I'll invest a lot of time into this. I don't want that person to disappear within a week, which is what happened all
Yeah.
the time with me, right? And it's kind of, yeah, it's hard to it's good to get quick things done and typically cheaply. But once you
Mhm.
want to build a proper strategy and rely on it for the long term, it's actually very challenging.
Project to scale.
Now, scale and just build upon, right? And I guess
Mhm.
especially then if you're looking, I have so many other challenges, if I may, right? There is this whole concept of a single point of contact, right? So what I try to do is build a team of freelancers. And that was
Yeah.
such a nightmare, right? Because I had to negotiate deals with every single
Mhm.
freelancer in isolation. They didn't want to be part of the team. They just wanted to do their task, right?
Mhm.
And that's it, get paid and move on with
Yeah.
life, right? And I had to then manage that communication and that negotiation. I had to manage the coordination, right? And also, one thing that you have to remember is that people that are very, very skilled in a specific thing may not be the best communicators, right? So I love working with a single point of contact that you deal with, and then I let that person manage all the rest. Like he'll choose what skills they put in what time, at what period of time, the coordination. Also, one person to talk to in terms of pricing, timelines, all that, right? If I have to do that with every single one, that's just not a feasible. I mean, the time I spend on doing that, I should be running my business. I should be running my business, and basically the outsourcing model to agencies is you work with one single point of contact. Then there's also quality control, right? Beyond the coordination, like if you work with an agency or a point of contact, usually they'll coordinate. And then when that output comes to that person, they will do one final check and then send it to you, right? All of these individual things, right, go away when you work with agencies. If only there was a platform where you could find agencies and compare them and deal with them.
Comes in.
Exactly.
That's definitely where Mangtas comes in. Now, for teams who are out there listening, how do you if you could ask them right now to join the platform, how would you do it?
Or what would you say? Oh wow, you're catching me off guard here. So basically, to be honest, right? Look, we are building this platform to create a level playing field for the teams, right? Ultimately, as a team, if I want to set up a business and I want to deliver services to the outside world, I need to invest a whole lot of money into marketing for me to be found, right? If I Google now and say outsourcing in the Philippines or Vietnam or whatever, right? The teams that will come up are the ones that actually invested in SEO, the teams that are actually out there doing stuff. But the teams that are, the smaller agencies that are actually really good as well, will not have the same opportunity to be found. So first of all, you come on the platform, you will be found, right? That's the beauty of it, right? So you're there. Anyone now has the ability to build a reputation. If you are delivering quality services, automatically your reviews will go up, and people that are looking for specific teams to work with will see you, and your status will only go up based on your performance, right? So it's really a level playing field that we're trying to create. And we always like to say to the Mangtas that we will always represent the teams. Like we will never charge the team, for instance, right? The team comes on the platform for free, and we will never bill them anything, right? So we'll also make sure that they get paid immediately. We also use very good foreign exchange rates, right? We use the rate of Google, all that stuff, right? We want to make sure that a team wants to be there and deliver their services there. So nothing to lose really for a team to sign up. I would tell them.
And everything to gain.
Everything to gain, right? And on top of that, it's very quick to sign up, right? You go onto the platform, create your profile, create your team profile, invite some team members, off you go, right? That's really it. Deliver your service, deliver quality, and build a reputation. Sorry, what do you like?
No, I like how you said that you want to, we want to level the playing field for all teams, because there are like big agencies and there are small agencies, but just because they're small, it doesn't mean that they're less talented. They can be equally talented, if not more. But we just need to be put out there.
And just to add to that, before we move on to the next question, I also want teams that are not good for clients to have the opportunity to review teams that have not been up to standard, right? One major problem I see everywhere in the outsourcing world is clients randomly select teams. They have a terrible experience, waste a lot of money, and the teams go on with life as if nothing's happened, right? That's not going to happen on this platform. If you are not good, that's it, right? If you're going to have a terrible experience, I mean, I'm not saying that's it. We will obviously come in the middle and resolve issues and make sure it's all fair, right? But if you are consistently giving bad service, ultimately that will impact your business. Like the number of projects that fail and just move on as if nothing happened is just shocking, right?
Yeah.
So if I am a client and I care about the experience of the next client, right, I need to have that opportunity to tell and warn everyone that the experience wasn't good. So it goes both ways, right?
So like a check and balance kind of system.
Correct, correct, correct.
Okay, and then yeah, it also, I'm pretty sure, if you see that a client has not been satisfied, you would also want to improve it. It would prove to be a good learning experience for the teams, and a very good way to find improvement.
And the freelancer platforms do this extremely well, right? We don't have to change that model, right? I mean, they have proven and tested that over the last 5 years or so, right? And it works, right? I go on a freelancer platform. I know what to look at immediately based on how the community itself, reviewed everything. And there's no reason for us to reinvent the wheel. That's a proven and tested model, and we'll definitely apply it.
Okay. Nice, nice. Now, going back to you being based in Singapore, as well as your the other co-founder, our other co-founder, Osmond. So you're planning to initially focus on the Singapore market. Is that correct?
Partially correct, right? Also on the Philippine market, right? So maybe I'll
For
take a
clients.
step back before people jump into conclusions when they're listening. Everyone is welcome. Let me get that out there, right? If you're a team anywhere in the world, come and join us, no problem. If you're a client anywhere in the world, come on and join us, no problem. We welcome you with open arms, right? But we have to start somewhere, right? And there's a very obvious pattern and an obvious play for us, right? Delivering services out of the Philippines to Singapore. It's just so obvious for so many different reasons. And maybe I'll start with Philippines. First of all of us have roots in the Philippines, right? From access to the market, that's where all of you except me grew up from day one. I was there for 10 years or even longer. It's what binds us together. It's where our network is, and we know that we can find a very good supply of teams, and we can make sure that we can take care of them. Right? We know how to make them trust us, and we'll make sure that trust is warranted. Right? We will be able to execute that service for them very, very well. But it's beyond that, right? Because to me, Philippines is the mecca of outsourcing, right? For many different reasons. Like I said this from the start, and I have a lot of experience in outsourcing in many different countries. And there's so many different things, right? So one is level of English, number one, just impeccable, right? Level of education, everyone is educated, is extremely good. The skill set is extremely strong, right? Work ethic, I would say. People go out of their way to get the job done and please the clients. So you put all of these things together, and then on top of it, in an outsourcing world, you want to be cost effective. So the cost of living, I mean, you have to put it out there, right? The cost of living in the Philippines is way cheaper than, for instance, Singapore. So they can do it at a much more cost effective level as well, and charge a little bit less for even at least as good services, right? So from an outsourcing perspective, that's exactly what you need, right? That's the model. So basically the teams, but also I would say our team, we are the right team for that market too, right? So it's a combination of the two. And I would say similar for Singapore, right? Again, our team, I'm based here, I have a strong network here. Osmond is based here, right? We are well connected in the startup scene, but also beyond that. And it's a thriving startup scene, right? And we like to really target the startups because this makes a hell of a lot of sense for startups, but also for bigger institutions down the line.
Yeah, I read somewhere that Singapore is like the Silicon Valley of Asia, or the emerging Silicon Valley of Asia.
Lots of government support, lots of funding everywhere, lots of ways to get to funding, and there's a lot of appetite to outsource, right? I mean, people are modern. People think the way that people think is not so traditional, especially not with startups. They will look for cost-effective ways to get there. And what is more cost effective than working with a specialized agency that can deliver the services to you at a price that you would never be able to get to if you hired, right? So not only quality, but also the cost.
Value
So
for
it
your
makes
money.
perfect sense. Yeah, exactly. So both make perfect sense from an appetite perspective, from the ability to deliver, but also from our team. So hence our ability to execute on this strategy. So yeah, obvious starting point, but again, anyone is welcome. Ultimately, we dream to be, basically own this space globally, and go way beyond, services that we'll start with, which is technology, right?
Nice. Thank you, Wouter. Now, this is
Over.
probably one of my last questions. Now, if
Mhm.
there are any clients listening out there, I would like you to just invite them if you want to on the platform. This is your opportunity to invite clients into the platform.
I actually want to be very careful, Jackie. Like, it's still very, very early days. I'm gonna be I want to be very selective on the clients that will come on board. So let's play open card here, right? We said earlier, we only started here in end of January, right? At this stage, we're only welcoming friendly clients, right? By that means people that are sympathetic to our cost, that will be very forgiving, and understand that we're still a startup, because it's so important to me that we're associated with success and satisfaction. And I want to make sure that every client that signs up stays on the platform, right? Now, I'm going to now answer your question and pretend it's June. If that makes sense, right?
Okay.
Okay. Now, in that case, where we'll do a more proper launch, right? Where we'll be a bit more mature, where everything is proven and tested, because it's, just to be clear, we're already running this, right? But it's very selective, and it's, I would say, a beta version almost, right? Once we do our proper launch, now obviously, look, we're not going to charge a lot of money. Let's start with that, right? You come on the platform, we're gonna be so competitive. Imagine the freelancer platforms, but probably about close to 1/3 of the cost. That's what you'll be dealing with, right? So that's one key selling point. Then obviously, look, I mean, if you care about quality, if you care about, delivering something that, working with teams that you can build on for your future, right? This is the place for you to be, right? Go to the freelancers for some, quick stuff, etc. But if you want to have like a proper engagement with proper teams, you come to us. You find a team, can compare them. We will actually assist you initially as well, right? We'll help you with the matchmaking where needed. There's also automated search functionality. There is a very structured work order process, right? So basically, you define the project and the scope. You'll have the ability to invite only the teams that you like to make a proposal or an offer. And then you can choose the offer that you like the most. And then basically you have a very structured way from there. The requirements are locked. And if you want to make changes, there's a proper change request process linked to that. We have standard SLAs, also NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. So you're protected, right? You don't have to worry about that. So your trade secrets are legally protected, and everybody signs up to those.
And that's very important.
Payments are taken care of. You can rest assured that the teams are taken care of. And should anything go wrong, you're also protected, because we will mediate and ultimately resolve disputes, right? So if somebody doesn't deliver according to contract or to what you agreed upon, you will see your money back. So yeah, it is, I think, the future of work. Ultimately, this is how we will run Mangtas, right? The way we are running Mangtas today is via Mangtas. So all the services we receive are actually done on our platform already. And yeah, we think it has a massive future, and you're welcome to partner with us. We hope to see you there.
Thank you. Thank you, Wouter.
Is that it?
Well, just one final question
Okay.
before we leave. Now it seems that you have been very busy with your startups for the past couple of months, past couple of years. Just just to ask you if you could take a break from it all and do anything non work related or non business related today, what would it be? What would you absolutely want to do? Aside.
Absolutely want to do. So you're right about I've been quite busy. I haven't had a holiday in probably a year and a bit, right? I love the beach, as you know, right? I could see myself going to the beach and just, going to an island somewhere, chilling, maybe Siki Horror or something. But having said it, I've done that and I know myself. And after 2 weeks, I will not be able to wait to come back to this adrenaline rush, To think in short, I wouldn't change a thing. I am right where I want to be, right? The stars are aligning. I'm super, super excited about this idea, if that wasn't clear. I'm so confident in the team. I'm so happy, like after everything I've been through. I mean, startup life is rough. Like you have to have the stomach for it, right? And one thing I absolutely realized is the people are everything. And I have so much confidence in the team members of the team, the co-founding team, and everyone that's contributing. I've known everyone over 20 years, right? We trust each other blindly. And I also know, all of you are so talented and capable of delivering. So yeah, it just feels right. So yeah, let's see. Can't wait, can't wait. How about you, Jackie? Look,
Thank you.
I think we still have a little bit of time.
No.
What would you like to be doing if it weren't this? Let's
I would
turn the
like to
tables.
go. I would like to go someplace warm too, and I wouldn't mind a day at the beach. Definitely a day at
Okay.
the beach back home would be really,
What would you do
really
at the beach?
nice and refreshing. Just lie down in the shade, not not directly under the sun, just in the shade and drink a beer. That would be nice.
So you would lie in the shade, drink a beer, and then what?
Read a book.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, well,
No, and honestly, what's gonna happen by the end of the year? All of us, we're gonna have a big party on an island somewhere, and take a well-deserved break. Can't wait for that.
hopefully,
Because
hopefully.
the last thing I want to do is go to a beach and just be there by myself.
Oh no, there'll always be
Like,
somebody trying to sell peanuts or a pair of slippers. They're wanting to give a massage. So, well, everybody, that was Wouter Delbaere, CEO and co-founder of Mangtas. Thank you very much, Wouter, for being on our first episode, being a guest on the show, and spending your time answering our questions. And hope to see you here
that was a lot of fun. I love that, Jackie. We should do
again.
that again. Thank
I
you.
should
Bye,
stop
guys.
recording.